Hello friends, acquaintances, and enemies of all ages. My name is Combat Bird, and today we'll be going over NiGHTS into Dreams, a game developed by the Sonic team for the Sega Saturn and released back in 1996. The game has since been ported to an HD remake to PC, as well as various other consoles, so we'll be using that version of it of course. Even with the HD remake, does the 20-year-old gameplay hold up in today's standard? NiGHTS into Dreams is a hard game to describe, and upon launching the game, you're thrown right into it with no explanation of the story, the controls, or your goal. I was so confused, but eventually I was able to figure out how to progress. It was at this point, for the sake of recording footage, I decided I would go in and turn down the background music. So I go to settings and... oh! There's a how to play section in the settings! I'm not super upset with this concept or anything, but they really didn't try to make it clear for you. Upon entering this menu, you get a detailed description of what's going on and what the story of the game is. To put it simply, after a bad day, our two protagonists, Elliot and Clarice, begin to think of themselves as failures. Then, a bad guy named Wiseman the Wicked starts capturing dream energy from humans with the hopes of leaving their subconscious and coming into the real world. No power on Earth will be able to stop him. After that, we get some cliche chosen ones type of thing, where these two kids are the only ones who can stop Wiseman because they have the rare red-colored energy or something like that. They do this with the help of a mostly silent, acrobatic jester named NiGHTS. And that's really it. Now you may be asking yourself, how might this translate into gameplay? Well, it's not exactly as you'd expect. Once you've entered a level, Wiseman's little minions will take all of the dream energy that either Elliot or Clarice have and put it into this container. So you must then have NiGHTS help you by flying around these dream worlds collecting blue chips that can be used to overload the container, releasing its contents. The controls are pretty simple, although I should mention that using a controller is almost mandatory. The left joystick will choose the direction that you want NiGHTS to fly in, A and B will both send you into a spiral that makes NiGHTS move much faster, and then the triggers will do a small variety of aerial acrobatics, which is purely aesthetic, but will improve your score if you use it at the right time. You can also use the triggers to brake by pressing them at the same time, but I almost never used it. I probably should have, because Jesus Christ, you go flying. I mean, honestly, this game was made by the Sonic team, what did I expect? But it feels so much better than Sonic for me. The way NiGHTS plays allows for people like me who aren't very good to have a fun time with the controls, while still rewarding those who take the time to master them. That was one of my first thoughts when I started playing the game. Oh god, imagine the people who are actually good at this. So I looked it up, and I was not disappointed. This is a YouTube channel known as Saturn Memories, and I'll link it in the description. The person playing gets an A rank on every level, and just look at the difference. Here's me. And here's them. My god, they're amazing. Alright, back to the less skillful gameplay. So if I didn't make it clear, the gameplay is a ton of fun and makes you want to keep coming back to improve your score. The levels are broken up into different paths for the two children. Now that's something I really want to focus on. With the gameplay I just mentioned, the levels have to be fun or this game would really fall flat. Luckily, they don't disappoint. Each level is aesthetically pleasing and has a killer soundtrack. And while playing through the first level, I figured that the levels would all feel exactly the same, but surprisingly enough, almost every single one of them has some kind of unique aspect to it where you break away from the linear 2D side-scrolling. It's these little gameplay decisions that make a game great and keep it from getting stale. Now, to break down a level for you, you need to collect the 20 blue chips 4 different times. If you don't have enough blue chips, the area you're currently in will loop forever, which results in you running through it over and over again till you either have enough or run out of time. Running out of time isn't a terrible penalty or anything, but it turns you back into one of the children who control kind of awkwardly and can do infinite triple jumps for some reason. Once you're back and have completed the 4 different segments of the level, you go directly into a boss battle. These are all unique as well, and each one has a different way of defeating the boss. This can take some trial and error, but I found all of them enjoyable. You do have to get a C rank or higher on each of the 3 levels with both of the children to finish the game. So it may take a couple of tries for each, but once again, this game left me wanting to improve my score anyways, so it was no big deal to me. Upon finishing the game, I clocked in just over 2.5 hours into it. so it's pretty short, but certainly worth it. Another little thing I'd like to mention is the Sega Saturn mode, where you can play the game with the original graphics from '96 when it was released. Playing it this way has a certain charm to it, and I'll probably end up playing through the whole game again just because of this mode. And then the second thing I wanted to point out was the presents section of the game. Here you can view the art gallery, listen to all the sound effects and music from the game, and watch any cutscenes seen thus far. I love when games do this kind of thing. Maybe it's just me, but sadly it feels like more modern games have kind of moved away from it. It's funny, because the only reason I picked this game up was because I'd always been a little curious about it, and it was only $1.60 on Steam instead of the normal $8. But now, after playing it, I would pay upwards of $15 for it, perhaps more if it weren't so short. Even now, 20 years later, the game surprised me with how fun it was. It's certainly not for everyone, and I would say it's aimed more towards casual gamers, but regardless, if you have a couple extra dollars and want a retro and fun experience, make sure you pick this one up. As always, I will link to it in the description below. Well guys, that's this week's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. What video should I make next? Leave your idea in the comments below, and as always, have a wonderful rest of your day.